Hello everybody. So we'll move on further in this class, and in last class I had made this small program in front of you in which I basically started the Selenium server and opened a Firefox browser, navigated to quicker.com and typed something E in the query box and selected the category ID. Then I start my server. So I'll run this test again and I'll show it to you what happens, and then we'll move further. So if I run it as a test.ng class, so first a browser will open. See, the browsers are opening and it will navigate to quicker.com. E will be typed in this box where enter your system has been named, and it was quite fast, right? This was, and it closed very fast because I had not set the speed. So out here I will set the speed as Selenium dot set speed command you can use, and I can set the speed as 2000. This means that between each and every line there will be a delay of 2 seconds or 2000 milliseconds. Fine. So basically what I am doing is I'm going to quicker.com, typing E here and selecting something from this list. Now I want to test this, whether E is being entered here and whether this list is okay or not, using Selenium, right? So first I'll take the example of this edit box E. Fine. So before typing something in the edit box E, I have to test whether it exists or not, whether query edit box exists. So this can be checked with the command called selenium dot is element present, and you give the element name as query. Okay, and I can use an assertion here. Okay, assert true. Assert true, and I'll give the message that web edit not present, and I'll put this here. Now I'll explain you the meaning of this. This means that check whether this element is selenium.is element. If it returns true, then it's fine. Otherwise the program will stop on this line and this error message will be thrown. Assert true means that the element next to this comma, the second argument should be true, right? So it will assert whether the element named query is present or not. If it is present, then I will enter the value. If it's not present, then this error message will be thrown and the program will terminate. Then I'll enter the value, right? So after entering the value, I have to verify whether the value, suppose I'm entering the value as Selenium test inside that query box. So now I have to validate whether the value has entered or not. Then again I can use an assertion, but a different one. I can use assert equals, and it's got expected value and the actual value. So the expected value is this one, and the command for actual value is I'll have to extract the value which I've entered in the edit box. So for that I'll have to give the command selenium dot get value from the edit box named query. So you can say that this is the name of the box, edit box, right? So what I've done, first I've tested whether the edit box exists or not. If it exists, then I've put an assertion over here. If it exists, then I have entered the value, and after entering the value I have checked whether the value has gone inside the box or not, right? So I'll run this program and I'll run it in a debug mode. Put a breakpoint here and I'll debug it. So the control stops here. I press F6. The Selenium server started. The speed is set to 2000. Okay, some exception is coming. Okay, this has to be done after my setup method or the open method. Fine. Okay, I'll execute it again. The control stops here. I start my server, call the setup method. Now as soon as I call my setup method, the browser will open up, but it will never navigate to the website quicker.com. As soon as I press F6, the open command is the actual command which is responsible for navigating to quicker.com. Now I am setting speed of Selenium to 2000 because Selenium is quite fast. Okay, and after that I am asserting true. I'm checking whether this edit box out here is present or not, and if I run it, the control comes on to the next line. That means the assertion has passed. Got result okay, true on session. See, now I'm typing Selenium test into it. I press F6 and Selenium test gets written into this edit box, and I then text whether the value Selenium test is actually present in the text box or not. Again press F6 and it passes. Fine. See, now I'll press F8 and let it run normally. Okay, now what about the select box? Okay, so select box I also have to execute all the 3 lines for the select box. So first I'll have to check whether the select box is present or not. Select box exists. Now how will I do it? Through an assertion again. Assert true, Selenium.is element present, category ID. Category ID is the name of the select box. If it is present, then I will select the label. In Selenium it is the label. We call it label. So what I say is Selenium.select category ID and select the label Ahmedabad from it. Okay. After that I have to check whether Ahmedabad is the selected one or not. Right. So validate the label now, or validate the selected label. So I do it through assert equals Ahmedabad with Selenium dot get selected label is the function, and you pass the select name. So this command will actually get the selected label, and it will compare whether Ahmedabad and this label, both of them are equal or not. So if both of them are equal, the test will pass. Fine. So I will just run it as a normal test and I'll show it to you. See, first quicker.com will open. First it will validate this text box, it is entered Selenium test and it has validated that everything. Now it will select Ahmedabad from it and it will validate whether Ahmedabad is present or not. Fine. And the program has ended. Okay, so if I refresh my project, a results folder is generated, and if I go to the test.ng results and I go to default suite and see the results, everything is passed. Right. Now what if I fail it deliberately? What I'll do is I'll enter Selenium test and I'll actually compare it with Selenium test 1. In this case, the program will just fail on this line, it will never execute this line. Okay, and I will run this test as a normal test.ng test. So it will enter Selenium test in the text box, but it will compare the entered value with Selenium test 1, and that's why the assertion will fail. And see, everything stopped and there was a failure, it was reported. And if I move up and it says that Selenium test 1 expected Selenium test 1 but saw Selenium test instead. If I refresh my project, and I go to index.html, see the reports, it's got saying failed, and in the reports it's saying the assertion error is thrown. So the assertion will stop the program